In today's episode, we're diving into something that appeared in the sky and quickly spread across the internet. It started during a lunar eclipse in March 2026 when the moon slowly turned a deep red color known as a blood moon. Millions of people across the world were watching the same moment unfold. Cameras were already recording. Phones were held toward the sky from rooftops, parks, and quiet streets. For a short period of time, people everywhere were looking at the same red moon hanging above the Earth. But during those recordings, some viewers say they noticed something unusual moving near the moon. Small lights drifting across the eclipse. In one video, a bright object crosses over the surface of the red moon before fading away. In another clip, two lights appear close together and then separate before disappearing into darkness. At first, these recordings look like ordinary moments captured during a rare sky event. But within minutes, the internet begins reacting. Welcome everyone, this is the Scanner Files. The first clips appear on social media while the eclipse is still happening. Someone posts a short video showing a faint object crossing the moon. Another user uploads telescope footage from a different location showing a similar movement. The comments begin almost immediately. Some viewers say the object looks like a satellite. Others say the motion feels strange. People replay the clips again and again, slowing the video down frame by frame. New recordings begin appearing from different parts of the world. Each one shows a slightly different moment during the eclipse, but several of them show something moving across the moon. Soon, the videos begin spreading beyond the original posts. TikTok accounts start sharing the footage with dramatic captions. Reddit threads appear collecting every clip people can find. YouTube creators begin analyzing the movements and comparing the sightings. Some viewers claim the objects appear to change direction. Others say two lights appear together before separating. Within hours, thousands of people are watching the same recordings and asking the same question. What exactly moved across the moon that night? That question becomes the center of a growing online discussion. Some viewers believe the answer is simple. Satellites cross the moon all the time, especially when telescopes are pointed directly at it. Others suggest airplanes or high-altitude debris could create similar shapes when seen through a powerful zoom lens. But for many people watching the videos, something about the movements does not look familiar. The objects seem to appear suddenly and vanish just as quickly. In a few clips, the motion looks smooth and steady. In others, it looks unpredictable. As the footage continues spreading online, a phrase begins appearing in comment sections and video titles. The blood moon UFO surge. The idea is simple. During the March 2026 blood moon eclipse, multiple people may have captured unidentified objects crossing the moon at nearly the same time. Some recordings come from North America. Others appear from Europe and South America. Each clip lasts only a few seconds, but together they create the impression that something unusual may have been moving across the sky while the world was watching the eclipse. And that is what makes this moment so interesting. Lunar eclipses are rare events that attract enormous attention. Astronomers announce them weeks in advance. News outlets remind viewers when to look up. Amateur photographers prepare their equipment hours before the eclipse begins. By the time the moon finally turns red, thousands of cameras around the world are already pointed at the sky, which means that during those few minutes of darkness, more people than usual are recording the same part of space. And when thousands of cameras are pointed at the same place at the same time, something unexpected can sometimes appear in the footage. So tonight we open the case. What were the objects people say they saw during the March 2026 blood moon? Were they satellites crossing the moon at the exact moment millions of people were watching? Were they optical illusions created by telescopes, cameras, or the Earth's atmosphere? Or did the eclipse reveal something moving above Earth that still has not been fully explained? To understand how this mystery began, we need to go back to the night of the eclipse itself. Because the moment the moon turned red, thousands of people started recording the sky. And within minutes, the first strange videos began appearing online. What exactly moved across the moon that night? Within minutes of the eclipse reaching its deepest red color, the first unusual recordings begin appearing online. At first, the clips are scattered across different platforms. A short telescope video appears on Reddit showing a faint object drifting across the moon. A few minutes later, another recording appears on TikTok from a completely different location. This one shows two small lights passing close to the edge of the red moon before fading away. At first, these posts attract only a handful of comments. Most viewers assume they are simply watching satellites crossing the field of view, but as more videos appear, people begin noticing something interesting about the timing. Several of the sightings seem to happen during the same short window of the eclipse, the moment when the moon is at its darkest red, when Earth's shadow fully covers the surface. That phase of a lunar eclipse does not last very long, usually only about an hour. And within that limited time frame, multiple videos appear showing objects crossing the moon. Online communities that track unusual aerial sightings quickly begin paying attention. Reddit forums dedicated to UFO reports start collecting every video they can find from the eclipse. Users begin building timelines of the event, marking the exact moments when objects appear in each recording. Some posts include maps showing where the videos were filmed: North America, South America, Europe. The idea is simple. If the objects were captured from different locations at similar times, it might be possible to estimate their path across the sky. As these amateur investigators compare the footage, they begin looking for a familiar explanation. Satellites are the most common objects seen crossing the moon through telescopes. Thousands of satellites orbit Earth, and many of them follow predictable paths that can be tracked online. In fact, astronomers often use satellite tracking websites to predict when objects like the International Space Station will pass across the moon's surface from a particular location. So some users begin checking the satellite databases. They compare the timestamps of the videos with the known orbits of communication satellites, weather satellites, and space stations. In several cases, the explanation seems clear. A bright object crossing the moon matches the path of a known satellite passing over the region at that moment. But a few of the clips do not appear to match anything listed in the public tracking data shared online. As the clips continue spreading online, another group begins examining the footage more carefully. Amateur astronomers and satellite trackers often follow events like lunar eclipses very closely. Many of them spend years observing objects crossing the moon through telescopes. Because the moon provides such a bright background, it becomes much easier to see small objects passing between Earth and the camera lens. Satellites, space debris, and even distant airplanes can sometimes appear as silhouettes moving across the lunar surface. For experienced observers, these crossings are not unusual, but the videos from the March eclipse still raise a few questions. Some astronomers reviewing the footage explain that satellites can appear in unexpected ways when filmed through high magnification. When a telescope is tightly focused on the moon, objects passing through the field of view may only remain visible for a fraction of a second. Depending on the camera settings, the shape of the satellite can look stretched or distorted. Rotating solar panels can reflect light in strange ways, creating the illusion that an object is changing direction or briefly stopping before continuing its path. Another factor is something called atmospheric distortion. When cameras film objects at extreme distances, the Earth's atmosphere can slightly bend and blur the image. This effect can cause objects to flicker, stretch, or briefly appear to change shape. Astronomers see this phenomenon often when observing stars through telescopes. The same distortion can affect videos recorded during a lunar eclipse, especially when cameras are zoomed in at very high magnification. But even with these explanations, a few details in the eclipse footage continue attracting attention. In several clips, the objects do not appear as simple straight lines moving across the moon. Instead, they look like distinct shapes passing slowly across the red surface before fading into darkness. One particular recording shows what appears to be a triangular silhouette moving across the lower portion of the moon. The object is visible for only a moment before disappearing from the frame. Viewers quickly begin isolating this clip and reposting it across social media. Some users enhance the video using editing software to increase brightness and contrast. Others slow the footage down frame by frame to study the outline of the object. In certain versions of the clip, the triangular shape appears very clear. In others, the object looks more like a blurred shadow or irregular fragment moving across the lens. The debate grows quickly. Some viewers believe the triangular outline might simply be a satellite viewed at an unusual angle. Certain satellites carry large flat panels that can create geometric shapes when seen from a distance. Others suggest the object might be space debris rotating as it passes across the camera's view. But a different group of viewers believes the shape looks too structured to be accidental. Within days, the clip becomes one of the most shared videos from the entire eclipse. And as more people begin reviewing the footage, another pattern begins to emerge. Several of the objects captured during the eclipse appear to move much faster than expected. In some clips, the lights cross the moon in less than a second before vanishing into darkness. Depending on the altitude of the object and the magnification of the telescope, this kind of speed could still match the movement of satellites orbiting Earth. But to viewers unfamiliar with orbital motion, the speed looks unusual, and once that detail enters the conversation, the mystery grows larger. Because when people see objects moving quickly across the moon during a rare astronomical event, the imagination naturally begins filling in the unknown. Some viewers begin connecting the eclipse sightings to older UFO reports recorded during meteor showers and planetary alignments. Others point out that whenever large numbers of people watch the sky at the same time, sightings of unidentified objects often increase. Which raises another important question. Are these moments revealing something unusual in the sky? Or are they simply revealing how much activity is already happening above Earth that most people never notice? To answer that question, investigators begin looking beyond the videos themselves. Because the March 2026 eclipse did more than produce a few unusual clips. It also created one of the rare moments when millions of people around the world were watching the same region of space at the same time. And when that many eyes turn toward the sky, even the smallest anomaly can quickly become a global mystery. To understand why the blood moon UFO surge captured so much attention online, we have to look at something that happens whenever large numbers of people observe the sky at the same time. Astronomical events create rare moments when millions of observers are focused on the same object. Lunar eclipses, meteor showers, and planetary alignments all attract global audiences. Telescopes are prepared, cameras are set up, live streams begin hours before the event. And during those moments, the night sky is being recorded from thousands of different locations simultaneously. That means even ordinary objects passing overhead are far more likely to be captured on video. Satellites are one of the most common explanations for objects crossing the moon. There are currently thousands of satellites orbiting Earth, and many of them pass between Earth and the moon during telescope observations. Normally, these crossings go unnoticed because very few people are filming the moon at any given moment. But during a lunar eclipse, that situation changes completely. Suddenly, thousands of cameras are pointed at the same place in the sky. Every satellite that crosses that line of sight becomes visible to someone recording the event. Astronomers reviewing the eclipse footage say that many of the objects captured in the videos do appear consistent with satellite motion. The speed of the objects, the direction of travel, and the brief silhouettes crossing the moon all match patterns that telescopes frequently record when satellites pass through the field of view. In some cases, the timing of certain clips even aligns with known satellite orbits listed in public tracking databases. But the internet rarely treats mysteries as simple explanations. Because while many of the videos appear consistent with satellite crossings, a few recordings remain harder to match with publicly available data. Some clips seem to show movements that viewers interpret as changes in direction. Others capture shapes that appear more structured than the thin lines satellites usually create when crossing the moon. These details are often small, lasting only a fraction of a second, but they are enough to keep the conversation alive, and once a mystery begins spreading online, it rarely stops growing. When a video is viewed by millions of people, thousands of interpretations appear almost instantly. One person notices a shadow, another person slows the footage down. Someone else draws outlines around shapes in the image. Soon the video is no longer just a recording of an event. It becomes a shared investigation, with thousands of participants examining every frame. In the case of the blood moon UFO surge, that investigation continues today. Some viewers remain convinced that the objects recorded during the March 2026 eclipse were simply satellites and space debris captured during a rare moment when thousands of cameras were pointed at the moon. Others believe that a few of the recordings still show movements that have not been fully explained. And because the videos are short and the objects appear only for seconds, the mystery remains difficult to resolve completely. The eclipse has already passed. The moon has returned to its normal color, but the recordings from that night are still circulating across the internet. People continue watching them, pausing the frames and asking the same question that first appeared in the comments while the eclipse was still happening. What exactly crossed the moon that night? Was it simply the normal activity of satellites orbiting above Earth, suddenly visible because millions of people were watching the sky at the same time? Or did the rare darkness of the blood moon reveal something unexpected moving through space? This has been the Scanner Files, scanning the world for anomalies. Until next time.